Hey everybody, Shawn here from theautomationschool.com, and in today's podcast we're going to talk about what the new features are in FactoryTalk View Site Edition version 10 that was released almost 2 weeks ago now. And let's go ahead and take a look at it here. We'll scroll down and we have Windows 10 support. We already had that in version 9, but we also gained Windows Server 2016 support, so that's cool. And if we go down here to the new features, we can see that they've added a feature to the Trend Pro that we talked about in the version 9 update that allows you to actually trace a FactoryTalk alarm and event. So an alarm from FactoryTalk alarm and events. So that's really cool. It'll actually go back and query the alarm history and display the alarm events in Trend Pro. So that's a nice addition. They also added the ability to create Trend Pro templates at the HMI server during runtime. So once you create a template, it's available to all users. So that's also pretty cool. I can't wait to try that out. Now, as far as Recipe Pro, they added some things here as well. They integrated it with FactoryTalk Security for certain actions. That's good. They added a Recipe Pro list control, which, that's great. I mean, people love the way that works in the Panel View Plus, or the similar feature works in the Panel View Plus. And these list controls make it easy to download and upload recipes. So very cool there. They provide a status tag parameter for Recipe Pro download and Recipe Pro upload commands that represents the result of the download and upload operation. So you get this status tag parameter. So, you can issue the command, but did it work? Where's the track record of how that happened? Well, now there's a status tag parameter that'll help you keep track of what happened when those commands were issued. And then they also added a check for valid tag connections before initiating a download of a recipe. And that makes a lot of sense. So that's good. Now, they also added multi-monitor deployment support. So this allows you to use a /m parameter with the display command to position each graphic display on one of up to 6 different monitors. So this is a pretty cool feature. And, it's more and more popular to have multiple monitors. I have several workstations here at the office where I have 3 different monitors. And, whether I'm in the studio and I need one to see a camera, one to see a screen, and one to see, the software, it's just more and more becoming popular to have multiple monitors available. And, there were ways of doing it in RSView32 and ViewSC before, but having this support built in with the /m parameter and being able to open displays on different monitors is pretty cool. I can't actually wait to try this one out either myself. When it comes to redundancy, a lot of neat updates to redundancy. We have the fact that now it automatically copies HMI projects files from the primary server to the secondary server when you set up redundancy. So that automatically happens now. And it now supports replication between the active and standby servers, even if the active server is the secondary server. So if you failed over to the secondary server to become the active, you can still replicate between it and what is now the backup server, the primary server. So that's awesome, and there's no need anymore to restart the server when that happens, so that's great. Additionally, if you make an online edit, right? So let's say you open up Studio, you make an edit to one of the graphic displays. That edit is now saved to both the active and standby server. And then they added some functions in there. One is primary server status and one is secondary server status. So that's additional functions that you can use to find out and display, what the status is in the system. And they added a switchover command so you can switch from the active to the backup in a redundant peer. They also expanded the support of how many clients are allowed in the system. So now they're saying you can have 80 FactoryTalk View SE client sessions simultaneously connected to an application and up to 50 FactoryTalk Viewpoint web client sessions simultaneously connected. And in addition to that, you can also have up to 1 million tags across 10 redundant HMI servers. So those are some pretty big numbers. Aside from redundancy, they did some work with alarming. They added some new commands that allow you to interact with active alarm events using buttons. So you don't have to actually do everything in the alarm and event summary anymore. You can actually just put buttons on your own screens and let people interact with those buttons. They also added an AE remark command that allows users to log a user-defined remark or message into the alarm and event history database, something we could do with the older alarms, but was missing in alarm and events. They also added a new embedded web browser control, so you can display web pages inside of an HMI application. We've had workarounds for that for a while, but this is a new embedded web browser control. And now they also support HTTPS. So if you want to enable HTTPS and IIS, then View will support it, and it uses it by default if it's enabled. So as far as runtime enhancements, they've added support to pass through the login from Thin Manager to the FactoryTalk View SE client. So that's cool. And they also updated the FactoryTalk View SE client wizard to make it more usable. And they improved the layout of the built-in on-screen keyboard. And so these are things that I think will make a lot more sense once you see them and start using them. But in addition to that, they now support the ability to delete and remove multiple components at one time. They now automatically dock the property panel and object explorer to the right-hand side of the main window. I was initially a little concerned about this, but just spending a few minutes with the product, actually it works pretty well. So, I think that's a good move for them. And yes, you can undock them if you want to. They added support to dynamically specify a local message file and write triggered messages to a string tag. They also added shortcuts to the signature button object in the toolbar in the menu. And now they also support, and this is very odd to me, they support the $ symbol in command syntax. So if you have, and there has to be a reason for this, and I'm missing it right now, but if you have a $, let's say you had a tag called $tag3, right? That's now valid. Now, if you are going to use a tag that has a $ symbol in it, you have to do one special thing when you're using that with commands. You have to, what we'd call escape it in other languages, or use a backslash. The backslash is the one where the top leans to the left. And so you have to put that in front of the tag name. So you would have to do like backslash $tag3 to use that in a command line or in your command syntax. They also added statistics for the current display. So you can find out how many security functions are used now, how many images are referenced, and how many images were imported. This is added in addition to the existing statistics we already had from version 9. Let's see what other enhancements we have. The installation, record, and playback feature. So if you're installing View SE on a lot of different computers, you can record the installation on computer 1 and then play back that installation, all the choices you made during installation, on all your other computers. So that should make it easy to, do the same installation on a large number of computers. And finally, the FactoryTalk File Viewer tool has been updated so that it can now read data log files that are actually being used and logged to, as well as recipe profiles. So that's cool. I'm glad they updated that so it can read, not only files that are kind of locked because they're being data logged to, but also recipe pro. It's great to be able to see every file type in that tool. Let's take a look at corrected anomalies here. There's quite a few of them. There was an issue where button text wasn't being resized when displays were resized. That's been fixed. There was an issue when navigation history wasn't being cleared when somebody logged out. That was fixed. There was issues with the alarm and event counts, the disabled count, the normal shelved count, etc., not returning the correct number of alarms in that state. That's been fixed. More problems with the ME Recipe 2 ActiveX that have been resolved. It used to not be able to load recipes when it was used with SE. Now it can. The control list selector was causing the multi-state indicator to currently go into an error state. That's been repaired. As well as, if you were using VBA to automatically log out a user after a period of inactivity, that could crash the client. That's been fixed. And there were some syntax errors that you could generate using the current user has group or current computer has group functions, and those have been repaired as well. There were issues with the on-screen keypad not showing the correct maximum value. That's been fixed. There were issues with text objects not being able to read string variable tags with n colon in them. That's been fixed. There was an issue where if you were using both the ZA command and VBA code to display graphic displays, that could be opened in the wrong order, as well as an issue where when you upgraded FactoryTalk View SE, any tags tied to an external bell under alarm setup might not toggle when triggered. And then finally, the last one we'll cover today, when using current computer groups method in VBA in an RDP session, it returns the list of computer groups for the terminal server instead of the client. So kind of a weird thing, but I guess it makes sense. You can see what was going wrong there. And with that, there's a whole bunch more. I'm not going to go through them. There's also a list of known anomalies that are currently exist in the product, and I'm not going to cover those. If you want to see all of these, just go up to ab.com, go to the product compatibility section, search on FactoryTalk View, and you'll see right next to the download link is a link to get the release notes. And with that, if you find these podcasts helpful, please give me a like and a thumbs up. And if you know anybody who would like to learn all about FactoryTalk View SE, the Panel View Plus, Control Logics, Allen Bradley PLCs, CCW, Micro 800s, and more, send them over to theautomationschool.com to visit me and check out my courses. Well, that's it for today's podcast. Until next time, peace.